Welcome to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV. You're here all the way from the Gold Coast with Amanda Hall Psychic. It's really good to have you here with us this week. First off, can we kick the show off with it's been very pleasing news to hear that you guys have got some rain in California and most of those fires are almost out. I mean, what a terrible loss of life. And, you know, personal belongings and homes and pets. And you just can't begin to imagine the tragedy that's still unfolding there and will for some time. So our thoughts and our prayers go out to them. Here in Australia, we're fighting our own bushfires here in Queensland at the moment in areas that have never seen bushfires before. And then we head to the southern states to Sydney, and Sydney's in lockdown for a massive storm event today where they're going to get over a month's worth of rain in a few hours. So it's all happening around the world, wherever you are in this amazing planet of ours. So I'd like to kick the show off this week with our Simply Tarot card of the week. And this is actually one of my favourite cards. In the tarot cards, we have what's known as 78 cards, and we have the first 22, which are the major arcana, which are like the nouns in a sentence. And then we make up the rest of the deck with what's known as the minor arcana, which is 56 picture cards that tell a story that are like the adjectives in the sentence. Now, this is actually the highest of the minor arcana. It's called the Seven of Swords. It's the card of plans, hopes, and it's our wish card. So it's whatever wish that we might like to bring towards us. It's sort of, you know, some people used to argue with me over the years when I was teaching, and particularly when we'd come to this card, and they'd say to me, Amanda, how can you get the wish card out of a man with a bunch of swords in his hand looking like he's just thieved something from a circus? And, you know, he's sort of, you know, he's got this smirky sort of look on his face. And I used to say, very easy. Cast your mind back to when you were a child. What was the one thing that you always dreamed of? Most children had a fantasy or a dream of running away to the circus when the circus came to town, because it represented everything that you'd ever wished for, that you didn't have to eat your vegetables, you didn't have to tidy your room, you didn't have any chores to do, and you certainly didn't have to go to school. So that was initially where my first thought when I first laid eyes on this card. And over the years, I started to realise that it has so many magical or sort of whimsical answers that can come from this, because everybody has a different wish. Not everybody has the same wish that they want to bring into their life, and our wishes change with time. So it's a very, very powerful card. It does override anything else in the minor arcana. So that's just a little bit of an extra snippet today on the tarot cards. I want to keep the show moving fairly quickly because we have a lot to cover today. Now, I'd like to sort of go straight into the candle of the week before we look at astrology, because I want to tie this in with this particular time of the year where so many people will be experiencing for the very, very first time their first holiday season without a loved one or somebody that was special or significant in their lives. And this week, the candle I'm going to feature is called My Angel in the Sky. Now, this is a candle that I purposely designed particularly for this occasion. It's a candle that you can have at your Christmas table, at your birthday table, at any sort of festive table to remember those loved ones and friends that are no longer with us. Now, it's really important, I think, that we honour and acknowledge the people that have gone before us. And for most of us, it's a very difficult time, even if we don't want to talk about it with everybody else. We feel it in our heart and we feel a sense of sadness. Now, this candle has a very mild sort of fragrance. It is white, and it is also the perfect complement to sort of put on your festive table or to just have sort of going at different times. You know, I quite often have My Angel in the Sky burning because for those of you that are regular viewers to this show, you'll know that I lost my husband well over 30 years ago now. But, you know, in my life, I've lost plenty of other very important people to me over the years. And I like to have one of these burning to just remember them by and sort of to acknowledge to them that they're still very important and very special in my life. If I take the lid off, you can see these candles have 2 wicks. Now, I like to burn one wick one side and one wick the other side. And I just want to point out to you this little brown rim that's there in the candle. Sometimes you'll find that you have a settling of the essential oils that we use in candle production. I would actually wipe that away. So if there's nothing wrong with the candle, it's just sometimes the condensation with humidity that we're particularly having here on the Gold Coast at the moment can cause that to sort of happen. So for those of you that might not have a big area and you still want to use a My Angel in the Sky, can I suggest to you we have our travel pack? Now, with our travel pack, we've made this slightly different. These candles have a very, very, very mild beigey sort of apricot tinge to them, just to make them a little bit more special. These are something that you can pop in your handbag. These will burn for up to about 15 hours. These are sort of little candles that you could have burning around the house, all giving off a very delicate fragrance. So at the moment, we have, if you want to make a purchase of anything, head to our website, www.amandahallpsychic.com.au, type in the word Christmas, and you will receive a 20% discount. That's more than what we normally offer on our other offers, so please take advantage of that. Now, for those of you that might not want to have a flame because you've got too many little ones that are going to be running around the house, and lucky you, that's what Christmas is all about, isn't it? Is the little ones and the joy on their face. Can I suggest a melt warmer? You can pick these up at a department store or variety store. Here in Australia, around about $15. I'd take a couple of teaspoons out of my candle, pop it in the melt warmer in the little dish on the top, and you can safely have that going all the time. So you can have that going for the whole duration of the day. You don't have to watch, how the candle's going. Is it getting too hot or anything like that, or the kids getting close to it, or the dog or the cat? This is a much safer alternative, and this will also work the same sort of way. It's if you want to pop a list of names underneath your melt warmer or underneath your candle, you can, of the people that are no longer sitting with you at the festive table. That's entirely your choice. If you're going to do that, please always put everything on a coaster of some kind. Don't put it directly on the furniture. For me personally, I don't like to make a list of the dearly departed, because if I made a list, I think it'd be pretty long by now, of the people that I've lost during my lifetime that are so significant and special to me. They all know who they are, and that way I wouldn't want to offend somebody by leaving somebody off my list. They all know that they hold a special place in my heart. Grief is a very difficult subject. It's a subject that most of us don't really want to ever discuss. Everybody sort of looks at grief in a very, very different way, and it is a very personal thing. And I can remember my own personal journey, as I said, well over 30 years ago now. If somebody had said to me one more time, it only takes time and you'll be better, I think I probably would have punched them in the nose. It's not the most comforting words to say to somebody who's just lost somebody or who is struggling with the first lot of anniversaries or festive seasons. The most important thing that you can do is just listen. Talk to them. Talk about the person that's gone, even if it seems to bring them to tears or seems to make them upset. In a strange sort of way, it's comforting. It's a way of releasing some of that pent-up emotion, and it's also giving them the right to be themselves, that they don't have to walk around with a smile on their face, that they can burst into tears if they need to, or, have a few watery moments, and that's okay. Grief is one of these things that we just really don't know what to do with it. Nobody really teaches us what to do. I know when my children were young and they probably thought their mother was a raving ratbag, but I used to always set a table at the dinner table at special events for their father. And I used to put a party hat there and put a glass there and put some soft drink in it or something like that, or some soda pop, as you call it in the USA. And I'd make a joke about how their dad hadn't drank very much. He mustn't be very thirsty today, or hadn't eaten much of his dinner. And they used to look at me and roll their eyes and think, oh, Mum's really lost it now. But I think it was a way of making it a much more acceptable and palatable way, that the children never saw it as anything different, that they were still able to talk about their father. And I wanted to encourage them to include him in things, that, if they went off and had a great moment in sport or theatre or whatever the case may be during their schooling, that they could look up to the sky and say, hey, Dad, I hope you're proud of me. That I wanted it to become very normal and a normal part of their lives, that just because he was gone, he certainly wasn't forgotten, and that I knew, and I wanted them to know that he was watching and he could see everything that was going on. And I think it sort of helped them, because they were very little when their father passed, to come to some sort of understanding that as much as it hurt, and they didn't have a dad like most other children did, that they still had a connection. And I think that's something that we can all take from that. I mean, personally, for me, in the last few months, I've lost 3 very close friends in a matter of weeks. And it was sort of, yes, they were all expected, and yes, it's still a tragedy and it's still a loss. But it also brings home to you the reality of how short life can be, that we all need to take the responsibility of living each day day as if it's our last. Make it the best possible day that can be. Don't forget to tell the people that are important to you how much you love them, how much you admire them, or how you're grateful you are to have them in your lives. Don't leave it until it's too late. And I think that's probably one of the most life-changing things that happened for me when I did lose my husband, was I did realise that I had to make every day count after that. And I've tried to live up to that philosophy each and every day since then. And I try not to let people go unnoticed. You know, if they've really done a kind deed, or they really have done something outstanding, or just smiled at me, that I try and reciprocate that and honour that, because that can sometimes be the only smile that person might get for a whole week. So if you can try and brighten someone else's day, you don't know what they're going through. You don't know whether they've just been through a loss or a tragedy or whatever the case may be. But if I can leave you with one little sentence of wisdom out of all of this with grief. A lady came up to me one day in my very early stages of grief, when I was on my way somewhere. I was waiting to catch a bus with my children, and she just put her hand on my hand and she said to me, "One day the sky will be blue." And I looked at her, and I knew then she knew what I was going through. And they were the most comforting words that anybody ever said to me. And I remembered those in my darkest hours, because I kept on thinking of what this stranger had said to me. One day you'll wake up and the sky will be blue again. And it certainly was. It took a long time. And I think we have pockets of where grief can still hit you even after 30 years. You can still have a bad day. Don't think there's anything abnormal about that. Or a song can take you back to a time and place in your life where, you know, it triggers a memory. And I quite often find that from the other side, they will quite often make a connection with us through music. Particular songs that may have been their favourite, you'll find they'll play them over and over and over again. I have an aunt that particularly likes doing that, and she has a particular song that she likes to play me when she wants to get my attention. And, you know, she's not subtle in it. You know, she'll just make sure that she monopolises every radio station or every music outlet that I might be tuning into, and she'll keep playing this song until I acknowledge that she's there and she's got something to say. So look out for the signs from our departed loved ones. Okay, so we're going to move the show along now. We're going to talk about what's actually happening astrologically this week. And this week, it's a very, very big week. We have got Jupiter has moved into Sagittarius and will be there for 13 months. I don't really want to focus on Jupiter today. I want to actually go and talk about Mercury retrograde, which is something that, you know, we've got plenty of time to talk about Jupiter in Sag. You'll be there till the end of 2019. So we're not in any great hurry that we have to discuss his little journey today. But I'd like to talk about Mercury retrograde. Mercury goes retrograde is the planet of communication 3 times a year for approximately 3 weeks at a time. Now, Mercury retrograde will be somewhere between the 6th to the 10th of December, depending on the way that you look at it. My estimation is I like to look at when Mercury has gone completely direct or going forward again. I don't consider the Mercury retrograde transit as being finished when Mercury is sitting stationary and is neither going forward nor backward. I still consider that as a retrograde motion, because Mercury hasn't got his running shoes on yet and isn't ready to leap off into the running race again. So that's why I say I take it to the 10th of December, but a lot of astrologers take it back to as early as the 6th. That's entirely your choice. I like to be I like to be really firm in the energy is really definitely moving forward, so that we can all sort of set our calendars by that and say, okay, from this day, I'm out of the danger zone. Things are certainly moving forward. I can be a little bit less conscious of my communications and things like that. So how does Mercury retrograde affect us? Most importantly, it's the planet of communication. So it's the time when our communication can be misinterpreted. So if you're attending family gatherings or work functions, things like that between now and through to the 10th of December, be very, very careful of your communication skills. Hold the alcohol, because sometimes when alcohol and parties and people and tempers and things like that get a bit frayed, it's not the time to tell somebody the truth about how you feel about them. I'd hold off until after the 10th, because it might be the time that they misinterpret what you're going to say, and this will cause a major row or an argument, which is the last thing that you want. It's also not the time to go into the boss and ask him for the raise and tell him how magnificent you are, because chances are he won't be listening. And even if he was listening, he'll say no anyway. It's the time to be very, very careful with any form of communication, including your computers, your laptops, your iPhones, your smartphones, all those sort of things. The times that you can lose them, they can break. Software updates don't work properly. We can have, telephone lines go down. But most importantly, we need to have our listening ears on to the people that we're actually having conversations with and make sure that we fully understand what's being said. Don't just half listen and agree to something without really listening. Be very careful if you're signing contracts under this time. Make sure that everything is where it should be. Read it out loud. Get someone else to proofread it. Just don't sign it just for the sake of, I'm in a hurry, I'll sign anything. It's the time when major mistakes are made. So just be careful. Anything connected with communication is what Mercury's about. Parcels can go missing. People just certainly don't listen. It's a time when I think we all need to be much more aware of our communication. Now, moving on to our famous Taurian actress for the week, and I've picked Cate Blanchett. Cate Blanchett has had an extensive career. She is an Australian actress. She's lived in the USA. She's also lived in England. I think she's currently living in England now. She's been a very world-renowned actress. She's managed stage productions. She's won so many awards, too many to mention, in many, many countries around the world. She is very much an activist for young women, of setting an example for young women to follow their dreams. She's somebody that doesn't take no for an answer. She really researches things before she agrees to do a movie or to work on a stage production or to work in the theatre. Things have to have meaning to Cate. Cate doesn't sort of just take something on because of it's going to be great at the box office. It has to have a purpose. It has to have a special message to share. And I think that's an important thing when you see somebody as powerful as what Cate is, that the causes that she gets behind are very close to her heart. She's a person that is very much highly principled. She really does stand for all the Taurian type of energies that we all respect. And, Tauruses are known for not only their love of money, but they're very highly principled people. They like to get behind causes that are going to make a difference with the world. They want people to remember them not for their talent, but for what they stood for. And I think Cate Blanchett will certainly go down in history for that. Too many sort of movies and things like that to mention. Just, let's take our hat off to Cate Blanchett and let's hope she continues to do some amazing work. So we're going to be moving on and we're going to take our first call, and it's called Sharon. And Sharon is in Kibbutz Givar from Israel. Hello, Sharon. Yes. How can I help today?
Hello.
Do you have a question for me, sweet?
Yes, I would like to know a bit what's in store for me, relationship, career, health.
Okay, all right. Number one, we can't discuss health. That's against all the regulations of all the countries around the world to be able to discuss health because I'm not a doctor. But I can talk to you about other areas of your life. The first thing that they're showing me is it's sort of like you're still sort of in a little bit of a holding pattern. You sort of get a little bit of momentum up in your life and then it's sort of like something brings you to a dead stop. And it's like this is important at the moment that we don't try and push too far too quickly, because if you do, I don't think you're going to make as much progress as what you would have if you allow yourself to go with the momentum that life is taking you. It's not the time to sort of try and push through the mountain. It's the time to sort of, if things feel easy, then go with that. If things feel difficult, then stop, reassess, have another look, see if there's anything else that you need to do before we can sort of get that momentum going again. They're showing me a relationship here with a dark-headed man with a question mark. Now, I want to sort of take this as not being a current situation, but maybe one that you just walked away from recently. Was there someone that you just recently broke up with and there's still question marks around whether or not you did the right thing there?
I would say he walked away himself, not me.
Oh, okay, he walked away. So that's why
it was a long time ago.
Yeah, but it might have been a long time ago, but it's still in your mind. It's still sort of as if you still haven't completely let go of that.
Oh, okay.
That's how they were presenting it to me. You could say to me, look, that was 10 years ago, Amanda, but that's numbers on a piece of paper. If you haven't got answers, if you haven't been able to let go of that or put it away somewhere, then that can still be interfering or preventing other situations, other opportunities to come into your life until we find a comfortable spot with that. So I suppose the best thing I can suggest about that, I did feel there was going to be some sort of information about this man coming forward to you in the next month or so, And it may just be sort of somebody says, oh, by the way, I saw so-and-so and he was, gee, he looked old, or whatever the case may be. And that's all it'll be. It'll be something, not really that important, but it's like, wow, fancy them remembering I used to go out with him all those years ago. That'll be your marker in time to sort of say, look, I've really got to let go of this once and for all. There's nothing I can do. I'm not going to get any more answers than what I got. So let's just let it go. When you're able to do that, I think there will be someone new coming into your life. And it's not saying you haven't had anyone in your life since that man I was talking about. It's just saying nobody's ever been able to measure up to what you thought you should have had with him. And that's been the issue. So it's sort of like, let's put that in context for what it is. You know what I mean? Like it's unfortunate, that he left the way he did, that you never got answers, but it's unfortunate that you've never had someone come into your life that you felt could have taken his place. Do you know what I mean? That matched him in that way. This next one.
I can understand it, yeah.
This next one
every now and again.
But this next one that's coming into your life will surpass him, and that's good.
So it's about time to say no more goodbye.
No, he's not coming back, sweetheart. No, just you've got to let that go. But there is another one coming who will surpass him, and that's good. So as far as career is concerned, they're showing me that nothing's going to change till about April, May next year, and I don't think it's even worth sort of considering what your options would be until we get closer to the time. So we're going to have to move on. Lovely to speak with you, Sharon. We're going to move on to Davina in Lancashire, England. Are you there, Davina?
Hi.
Hi, Davina. How can I help you tonight, sweetie?
I've been going through a lot of changes in my life, and I'd like to know where it's leading to. I know it's going to be better, but I'm a bit lost to why and where it's going to.
Okay. Look, Davina, that's not necessarily a difficult question, in as much as from where I sit, it's a question I probably get asked daily. People say to me, look, I can feel these changes. I don't know what's happening. Am I doing the right thing? Do I need to contribute more to the changes that are happening? And the first thing that I want to say to you, Davina, is I feel that you're right on cue for where you're meant to be. Do you mind sharing with me your star sign, please?
Pardon? My star sign?
Star sign. Yes.
Yes, I'm Aries.
You're an Aries?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, that makes even more sense then. If you're an Aries, there's a lot of stuff going through Aries, or has been in this last year, where you're being asked to sort of be really ready to sort of move forward. So it's a time when I think that, there's a lot of healing going on at the same time, which is partly why that you sort of don't know what the answers are yet, because as we've uncovered things and we've looked at things and we've dealt with them and we've pushed them to one side or we've let go of them or whatever, there's been a real wave of healing that's taken place at the same time. And you sort of, may not be consciously aware of that, but that's taken on many, many sort of levels. Now, the fact that you're an Aries, you will also benefit from Jupiter going into Sagittarius, because it's going to make some lovely aspects to the other two fire signs. So you will find from any time now the momentum in your life is going to start to pick up. I actually feel that you've started to see people for who they truly are. Is that something that's been sort of very eye-opening this year, that all of a sudden it's like you can see through people, they're transparent, you can see exactly what they mean and what their motives are and whether or not you like them or dislike them anymore?
Yeah, that's true. And it's not been a good thing sometimes.
No, but what you've got to understand is, Davina, you're going into a massive new cycle. Now, do you want to take people and situations into this new positive cycle for you that aren't worthy of being there?
No, definitely not.
No, and that's why it sort of had to be sort of so severe, in a sense that, like, I'll hold it straight up to your nose and you look at it and you can't mistake it. Now deal with it. Do you know what I mean? It had to be that intense because we haven't got a lot of time to clear things out of your life to make way for the new that's coming. What they're showing me is from February on next year, doors are going to start to fly open. So be very, very, very careful what you wish for and what you send out to the universe, even in a verbal conversation, because you may just get your wishes and they'll come thick and fast. So be very careful what you're wishing for. I don't think there's anything that you've done wrong. I think the people that you've seen straight through that aren't quite who you thought they were, well, that's a good thing. Even though it's hurt you and it's disappointed you, work through those emotions, let it go, put it away, deal with it in the best way you can. And sometimes the answer is there is no answer. You know, sometimes we just can't find an answer for why somebody's done what they've done. We just need to accept that is the answer and move forward. There's new love coming, there's new opportunities and more money coming. So I don't think you've done anything wrong. I just want to reaffirm, just don't be in too much of a hurry. Just go at the pace that life's taking you. It'll get faster and then it'll stop and then it'll get slower and then it'll come back up to a fast pace again. Just go with the momentum. But by March, everything becomes very clear and you're certainly on the right path. And I know you've got an amazing 2019 ahead of you. So, you know, just look at this year as much as it's been a difficult roller coaster year, it was a necessary year so that you're fresh and ready for next year and the opportunities that are coming towards you, Davina. So I hope that's helped, sweetie.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah.
You're very, very welcome. So we're drawing to the end of the show. So I hope you have a little bit more understanding about grief as we head into the holiday season around the world. Some people call it Merry Christmas. Other people call it Happy Holidays. Really doesn't matter what you call it. It's the celebration. It's the time to be with family and friends. And it's a time to be so much more understanding about the people that may have lost somebody in this last 12 months. So let's make this holiday season a time of healing and joy and a time that's something that we can all look back on and remember and take us through to the end of the year in a very positive, uplifting note. Of course, on next week's show, we'll have our Simply Tarot card of the week. We'll have our candle of the week. We'll also have our little trip around the universe next week. But don't forget, if you want to make a purchase of some candles or a reading for somebody for a gift for Christmas, the word Christmas in the coupon box at the checkout, www.amandahallpsychic.com.au. While you're there, don't forget to join our newsletter for your free astrology chart that'll be emailed to you anywhere in the world. I hope you have an absolutely awesome week. I know I'm going to. I get the good fortune of going to see my favourite people in the world tomorrow night, John Edward, here on the Gold Coast. So I'm really looking forward to it. That's my birthday present, which is my birthday's coming up next month. So I'm really excited to see that. See John again, second time in a month. I'm a really, very lucky girl. So whatever you're doing in this next week of ours, be kind to each other, love each other, but make sure you have your listening ears on with Mercury retrograde because sometimes you may miss out on some very important communication. Bye for now.